Hey there, class. Mr. Pusky here. Hope you're having a good day so far. We are moving on to 1.7. Today is day 1, which is absolute value. Our essential questions are be able to write an absolute value equation as 2 equations and be able to solve absolute value equations. So, the absolute value, you guys have heard about that before. It'd really be great if we could, during class, ask questions what you guys know about absolute value, but just think about what you know about absolute value before we go into this and see if you guys can fill in these blanks on your own. But absolute value is going to be the distance. The what? The distance a number is from 0 on the number line. From which number? And it is written as, it's kind of like someone holding their arms straight up and down. This is written as the 2 vertical lines, and it's absolute value of x. So absolute value of 7, it's saying how far is 7 from 0 on the number line. So if we drew a number line, right? I don't need to do that, but here's 0, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. Here's 7. Well, it's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. It's 7 away from 7 on the number line, right? That was probably so basic you didn't even need that, but just wanted to recover that or review that. So it's going to be 7. 7 is 7 away from 0 on the number line. How far is negative 3 from 0 on the number line? Is it 3 or is it negative 3? So distance, can distance ever be negative or no? Distance can never be negative. So even though we're on like to the left, 1, 2, 3, it's still a positive distance 1, 2, 3 to get back to 0, right? So even the absolute value of negative 3 is going to be positive 3. So no matter what number you have inside the absolute value here, it's always going to be a positive because this distance is always positive. And then how far is 0 from 0 on the number line? For absolute value of 0, that's going to be 0. And I'm not sure what's supposed to go in this blank here, so we're just going to throw it out. But absolute value always has a non-negative answer, like we talked about there. A non-negative answer. Okay. So the steps for solving an absolute value equation is we're going to write 2 linear equations as an OR statement. As a what? As an OR statement. And then we're going to solve both equations. Okay? So basically, our first equation down here, it says solve each of the following and check your answer. So it says the absolute value of 4x plus 3 equals 11. This is saying, it's saying for what value of x, if you plug in x into this 4x plus 3, will that number be 11? Will that be 11 away from 0, basically? Okay? This is saying what number can you plug in for x that will end up being 11 away from 0 in the end? Okay, it's saying, yeah, that's what it's saying. It's saying it has an absolute value of 11. It means that the number that you get for x here should be 11 away from 0. Okay? So for example, if we just did absolute value of x equals 11, well, what numbers are 11 away from 0? There is both 11, and there's also a negative 11, right? What about the absolute value of x plus 2 equals 11? What numbers can we plug in to get 11 away from 0? What numbers are 11 away from 0 here? Well, it would be x plus 2 would be what? 9 would be. If we plug in 9 in for x, that would be 9 plus 2 is 11. Or what else would that be? Negative 13, right? Because negative 13 plus 2 is also going to equal negative 11, and the absolute value of negative 11 is going to equal 11. All right? So let me just double check that there. So negative 13 plus 2 would be negative 11. Yeah, I think I did that right. I just kind of made it up in my head here, but hopefully that's good. Yeah, so basically it's saying what number can you plug in for x that will end up being 11 away from 0 once the final result. Okay? All right, so we have absolute value of 4x plus 3 equals 11. So we're saying what number of x can be that'll end up being 11 away from 0 at the end when you plug it into that equation. So we're going to write, we're going to split this equation into 2. So we're going to write it as 4x plus 3, equals 11. Or we're going to put or in the middle And also, the numbers that are 11 away from 0 are 11, and what else? There's 11, and there's also negative 11, right? So we're also going to do 4x plus 3 equals negative 11. Those are the two possible options that are 11 away from 0. 11 and negative 11 on either side of the number line on 0. Those are the two options we're going to solve for here. But this is kind of going over your head a little bit. All you got to know is when you have an absolute value equation like this, where absolute value of 4x plus 3 equals 11, you're going to do 4x plus 3 equals 11, or 4x plus 3 equals negative 11. Because those are the two options that are going to work here. Let's solve these now. So how do we solve 4x plus 3 equals 11? We're going to do what? We're going to subtract 3. 4x equals what? That's going to be 8. What's next? Divide by 4. X is going to equal 2. Then what about over here? 4x plus 3 equals negative 11. We're going to subtract 3 like we did before. Actually, the nice thing about these problems is that they're going to be the same, pretty much the same both ways you do it. Divide by 4 again. X is going to equal, divide the top and bottom by 2. That's a common factor, so that's going to be negative 7 over 2. Put or in the middle here. But sometimes with these absolute value equations, we're going to get false positives or false answers. And so we got to check our answers here. So what we're going to do on the next page, I'm going to plug in x equals 2, and I'm going to plug in x equals negative 7 halves. So let's plug in x equals 2 first. So we had absolute value of 4 times 2 plus 3 equals 11. And we're going to do absolute value of 4 times negative 7 halves plus, plus 3 equals 11. Plugging it back into the original equation to see if it works. Well, what's 4 times 2 going to be? That's going to be 8 plus 3 equals 11. So now we do 8 plus 3, which is the absolute value of 11. Well, what's the absolute value of 11? How far is 11 away from 0? It is 11. So 11 is 11, so that one is correct. So if you plugged in 2 into that equation, 4x plus 3, the absolute value of that, 2 would give you an absolute value of 11, which means that if you plug in x equals 2 into that equation, it's going to end up being 11 away from 0 at the end. Okay? And this one over here, this one's a little trickier because we got a fraction. So we're going to do absolute value, put the 4 over 1, reduce the 4 into 2. 2 goes into 4 twice, 2 goes into 2 one time, so we get negative 14 plus 3 equals 11. Negative 14 plus 3 is absolute value of negative 11. Equals 11. What's the absolute value of negative 11? That's going to be just 11. So both of these worked for this one. Okay? So yeah, so that means, our answers are going to be 2 and negative 7 halves. If you plug those into x, then 4x plus 3 will be 11 away from 0. Those are the two possible answers there. Okay? All right, next one. Let's use a different color here. Blue. All right, this one is saying absolute value of x plus 7 equals negative 9. So a little tricky about this one. It's saying what number can you plug in for x to end up with negative 9 away from 0? Well, that's a little goofy. Can we have a negative distance? Is that such a thing? No, it is not. Let's just plug in a couple numbers here. Let's plug in. So I know that negative 16 plus 7, that equals negative 9, right? Let's just plug it in. What do we got there? Negative 16 plus 7 is, that's negative 9. Absolute value of negative 9. But look, what's the absolute value of negative 9? That is positive 9. Does positive 9 equal negative 9? No, it does not. So that is an issue, okay? So for this one, whenever you have an absolute value equation or inequality, which we're going to talk about like greater than or less than or greater than or equal to like that, you cannot have a negative number out here, okay? I think this might have been a mistake when we were doing this problem, but this one's actually going to be no solution. No number could, go in for x and result in negative 9. But let's fix this and do it a different way. Let's do a different problem. Let's do x plus 7 absolute value of that equals positive 9. Let's just do this one just to get another practice problem, see how we can do this one. So this one's saying, what can we plug in for x into x plus 7 to end up with the final result being 9 away from 0? Being 9 away from 0. We're going to split it like we did before. The trick is, if that's confusing to you, you're just going to split it. You're going to do x plus 7 equals 9, or x plus 7 equals negative 9. Okay? So what number goes in for 7 that would end up being 9 away from 0 at the end when you plug it in? All right, let's solve for x now. What are we going to do? Subtract 7. X equals 9 minus 7 is 2. Or subtract 7 over here. X is going to equal what? Negative 16. Let's check our answers too. So I'm going to plug in absolute value of 2 plus 7 equals 9. That's 2 plus 7 is going to be 9. Absolute value of 9 equals 9. That one's good. Then over here we got absolute value of negative 16 plus 7 equals negative 9. Oops, not negative 9. Equals 9. So absolute value of negative 9 equals 9. And then 9 is 9 away from 0. Negative 9 is 9 away from 0. So both of these are works. So these are our final answers for these ones. Okay? So if that was confusing to you, hopefully I'm just going to keep repeating it. But basically what you do is you write two equations with an or statement. And you write one with a positive number and one with a negative number. Because those are the two possible numbers that could end up with something being 11 away from 0. It's 11 or negative 11. Or 9 or negative 9. Those are the two possible options that could end up being 9 away from 0, right? Okay, and that's where we're going to stop for today. So I'm going to record a video for the day 2, which is going to be a little bit trickier, but it's going to be the same kind of principles, and I do have a shortcut for you to make sure you can solve these correctly. So, all right, thanks for watching. Have a great day.